Just 1 second. Yes, then first of all, today we are going to see some of the basic components like set payload and set variable, right? So for that, I'll create a one sample application. So how you can create the application in the Anypoint Studio? It is very simple. Just click on the file and select the new and go to the Mule project. So then you can create a one basic project structure. Okay, so you can give any name here. So today I want to create a set payload, right? So set payload example. This is the set payload example. Just click on the finish button. Automatically it will generate a basic project structure. It will create a basic project structure for you. Here you can see this is the basic project structure. Here you can see this is the XML. In this XML you are going to create all your flows. This is the XML. We can call it as a empty convoy also. Okay, by using this convoy you'll create all your flows. So how you are going to create the flows? By dragging the components from the Mule palette. Here you can see all the available components here. So by using these components you'll create a one flow. Okay, so first of all, what is the first component here? To start our flow, always HTTP listener. Why we are using HTTP listener? Can anyone tell me please why we are using this HTTP listener?
To listen the given inputs from the browser.
Yes, exactly. So if you consider this Postman or Google Chrome, if you consider as a browser, if you want to send any request, first of all, you need to listen that request from your Mule application, right? So this HTTP listener will listen the request from the outside wall. We can simply say, okay. So it can listen the request from the browsers or it can listen the request from any kind of applications as a HTTP protocol. Here you can see we are sending our request as a HTTP protocol, right? So that's why we have used HTTP listener. Okay, just remember this always. Why? Because each and every application will use this component to start your flow. So that's why. And here just simply click on. So how you can configure this HTTP listener? So that is very simple. Just click on the add button. Here if you want to change your host, you can change, otherwise keep it as the same. There is no problem. So if you are using all interfaces means it can allow all the hosts. But if you want to allow particular local host, then you can choose the local host also. It can allow only local host. But if you select this, it can allow all the host. Okay. And protocol is default protocol. You can go with the default protocol. But if you want secure protocol, then you can go with the HTTPS protocol. So as of now, we need default protocol itself. So that's why I don't want to go with the HTTPS protocol. Port means you can mention anything, like I can give like 8082, 8083, 8088, anything you can give as a port. Okay. So then if you want to do the test connection, you can do, otherwise you can directly click on OK button. So then simply it will create a HTTP configuration for you. So in this way you have to configure your HTTP listener. Okay. So even if you want to edit also you can edit. So directly you can click on this edit button. That way also you can edit. Otherwise automatically whenever you created this HTTP listener configuration, automatically it is created the configuration in a global elements. If you open this global elements, here already the HTTP listener will create the configuration. From here also you can edit. Okay, select this and click on edit. Here you can check HTTP all interfaces 8088. Even here you can see HTTP localhost 8081, it will not allow anyway. 808 it will allow. Why? Because in the HTTP listener configuration I have configured 8088, so that's why. Okay, so our interface means even it will allow the localhost itself. Okay, It will allow the local host and it will allow all other hosts also. Okay, just click on OK button. Now let's go to the message flow, and here you can give the path. So what we are going to do today, so some kind of a set payload or something, right? So okay, test I will give test flow. I'll create some test flow or sample flow. So whatever you can give here in the path. So let's start our flow with some other components, like I'll drag one more logger. You know very well what is the purpose of logger. Okay, so let's see, before logger I will use some kind of a set payload. Okay, so just assume this is the set payload one. So here I can set some data, right? In the set payload one I can set some data. What data I can set? So here I can set okay, let's assume this is the customer. Set customer payload. Okay, set customer payload. This is the customer name, right? Here I can write anything. Customer name equals Niranjan. This is the customer. So otherwise this is the customer payload. Anything you can give. Okay, this is the customer payload. Just assume I'm setting some customer payload here. Even you can see the display name also will change. How it will change? Here I'm changing the display name. Set customer payload name. Payload. Okay, this is the display name. Here it will display that name. Okay, so set customer payload. Now even if you want to print, here you can print. Okay, so here you can print like logger one. You can give the logger one, and here I want to print that payload, right? Simply payload. Just enable this fx and write the payload syntax. Now my flow is ready. So just assume this is the customer payload and I'm printing into the logger. Okay, so I'm running this application. How can I run this application? It is very simple. Simply right click on this empty convoy and click on the run project. So then obviously automatically it will run your project. Okay, so you don't need to do anything. Simply you can run your project and your project will run. You can see all the logs. This is the runtime logs you can see while running your project. So once your project is deployed successfully, here you can see the message like your project got successfully deployed. Okay, so this is very basic component. Try to understand here what we are doing. So we are setting some content. Okay, we are setting some content via set payload. By using set payload, we are setting some content. What is our content? So this is our content I am setting. How we can set this content to the flow? Just observe that very carefully. Okay, how this will work? Everything. Try to understand everything. Okay, let's see. Okay, then you can see here your application got deployed successfully. Okay, what is your application name? Set payload example, right? Here you can check that application name. Now your application is ready. So then I'm going to hit this application from the Postman with the sample path. Okay, this path only I can trigger. So with this path, if I trying to trigger with this path, what will happen? So it will show a message like no listener for endpoint db read. Okay, so as of now my endpoint will ready with sample only. So let's send the request. Okay, so now you can see this is the customer payload. Now you got the message, right? So then I want to set one more payload in the, okay, so in the flow. How can I set? I need to drag one. Even you can check in the logger itself. Okay, you can check in the logger itself. This is the logger message. Here I kept one logger, right? So this is the logger message. So here you can see this is the customer payload. It is printing. This is the customer payload. Okay. So in this way, the logger will print. Otherwise, if you can remove this, okay, this is fine, not a problem. Yeah. In this way, you can print your payload in the logger. So let's drag one more set payload component. Here you can assign some other payloads. Let's assume like here I want to set some kind of a employee payload. Okay, employee payload. Yeah, now you can see. Yeah, I have set employee payload as well. I will drag one more logger also. Here I want to print logger 2. Okay. So even if you want to print the logger 2 details here, so logger 2 I will give. Here simply I can write this syntax. Okay, hash square braces. Within the square braces I need to write the payload. You can print payload in this way also. We can print payload directly also. So what is the difference between this and this? So here your payload will print along with this message, but here that kind of message it will not print directly, it will print the payload. Okay, so I don't want to print like this. Okay, I'll remove this. I want to print like this. Okay, I want to print like this. Control C, and here I'll paste that logger 1. It is the logger 1. By seeing this message you can easily identify like which logger it is printed. Okay, so that's why. Now let's see what will happen. I am saving this application. Control S. I am pressing Control S. Automatically this application will read apply. Here you can see this application will read apply. Now can anyone tell me like if I trigger now this application, which payload will come? Whether this customer payload or employee payload? Anyone?
Logger 2 will come.
Yeah. Any other guesses, guys? Any other guesses? You can try. There is no problem. Okay. I'll consider all your inputs. Okay. As per your imaginations, you can tell the answer. Okay. Tell me, guys. Sorry.
Employee payload.
Employee payload. Any other?
Second
Employee
payload.
only. Yeah. Okay. Most of the people go with the second payload only. So nothing but an employee payload, right? We'll see how it will come. I'm sending the request. Okay. I'm sending the request. This is the employee payload. So then here you can see. So first I'm setting customer payload. After I'm setting employee payload. But finally to the browser, it is returning to the employee payload only. So why it is returning employee payload, we'll see. Okay, what is the reason for that? Okay, so first you can see, just assume this is the flow, right? So this is the synchronous flow. We can say this is the synchronous flow, and nothing but one-way flow. So here we are setting this customer payload. After we are printing this data, even you can check this data here also. In logger 1, it is printing this is the customer payload. After that again we are setting employee payload. In logger 2, if you are trying to print the payload, obviously it is printing employee payload only. It is not printing any kind of a set customer payload, right? Why? Because this customer payload will override by the employee payload. Okay, so whenever you set this employee payload, automatically this payload will override this previous payload. Nothing but that previous payload will gone. Okay, always it will consider latest payload only. And even you can see from here, it will return that latest payload to the browser. Here this arrow mark will indicate like which payload will return to the browser. Okay, And already I have told you, right? One blunder, like you can say, one blind mark is like always whatever you have payload in the end of the flow, that payload only will return to the browser. Okay, this rule you have to remember this entire this course. Okay, whatever you have payload end of the flow, that payload only it will return to the browser. Okay, so now you understand, right? So set payload, set customer payload and set employee payload, but you got only employee payload to the browser. But here the thing is like, I want to get this customer payload to the again. Okay, I don't want to disturb this employee payload. Again, I want to return this customer payload to the browser. How can I do that? Otherwise, if I want to get these two payloads to the browser, how can I get that? So these kind of things we are going to do now. Okay, but at a time we can return only one payload. We cannot return two payloads at a time to the browser. Okay, that is also one more rule you have to understand. So here how you can do, here then you can take the help of variables. Okay, variable set payload means always one memory only allocate for the set payload. For example, if you it will create a one memory here, so you are filling this set payload with that memory. So whenever you set another payload, automatically that memory will free, and again it will fill with the new payload only. Always only one memory will create for all the payloads. But variables means it will create each variable, it will create a separate memory. Okay, so that's why you can store different values in a different variables. Set payload means all is it is common for entire flow set payload, but variables means you can create a multiple variables. Okay, so that's why we can take the help of variables. How you can take the help of variables here? That is very simple. Just drag one more set variable, set variable I'm dragging. Just try to understand. Here you can see I'm setting this. Okay, I'm inserting this payload to the one variable. So nothing but I'm taking this set payload as a backup. You can understand this, it is the backup. Okay, set variable 1. This is the set variable 1. Otherwise set customer data to the variable. Set customer variable. So here this is the display name. You don't need to worry about the display name, but here you can see name and value. Okay, name and value we can store our data, but the set payload we don't have any name and value, only we have value. Directly we are setting the value, so that's why every time this value will override. But here in the variable, every value we can assign with one unique name, so that's why it will not collision with another names. Okay, always you will give a new name. So here you can give customer. This is the customer variable. Okay, customer variable value I can give. What value I can give? Here already I'm setting some payload, right? Directly just I want to pass this payload to this variable. Directly I want to pass that variable. How can I pass? Simply enable fx. Here you can pass payload. So nothing but whatever you have created payload here, that payload it will flow to this variable. Okay, that payload it will insert into this variable. You can observe always your payload will flow to the forward direction only. Your payload never will go to the backward direction. Okay, this is also one more rule. You have to remember this rule as well. Whatever you have created payload, that payload it will go to the variable, and that payload will insert into this variable. What is the variable name now? Customer is my variable. Okay, what is your variable name? Customer. Even you can give the capital name also, customer. And again, so here you are printing payload. Yeah, obviously this payload will print. Even if you want to print the variable form also you can print. Okay, in the same way, I don't want to print as a payload. I want to print as a variable. How can I print? There is a syntax. What is that syntax? Vars dot customer. Automatically it is suggesting, right? So customer. Vars dot customer it is showing. So nothing but now I am printing my data as a variable. I don't want to print my data as a payload. Even I want to print my data as a variable as well as the payload also. So for that simply you can give some kind of some indications, and again you can write vars dot customer. Sorry, not vars dot customer. Payload I'll give directly. I want to print my data as variable and as payload also. It is possible. Okay. Now you can see. Okay. So now I'm setting second payload. Okay. Second payload. If I want to insert this payload in one variable, I have to drag one more variable here. Simply I can use some kind of a employee, right? So employee variable I can use, and here I can set this payload. Whatever this payload is created recently, that payload I want to save here. Okay. Like yeah, you can understand, you can ask one question here. So here I'm setting payload. So this payload may kind of a customer payload also, right? So you got this kind of doubt also, right? So but you can understand one point is like it will always take recent payload only. Whatever you have created recently, that payload only it will take and it will store into this variable. Okay. So now here I'm assigning some variable is called like employee variable. Okay. Now I have created two variables. Okay. One is the customer variable and I'm setting all the previous payload to this customer variable. Here I'm setting like all the employee payload to this employee variable. Okay. Now my two variables are ready. So nothing but here I'm storing all this customer payload to the customer variable, employee payload to the employee variable. Now here I want to get the payload. Which payload I want to get, that payload I will mention here. This is the final payload. Yeah, this is a set final payload. Which payload I want to print? If I use this payload, obviously it will take the recent payload. What is my recent payload? Employee payload. Again it will return the employee payload, but I don't want this employee payload. I want this customer payload. How can I call this customer payload here? Can anyone tell me please?
Vars dot payloads.
Yes, exactly. You can use the var syntax. Why? Because already my customer payload is saved in a customer variable, right? So already my employee payload is saved in a employee variable. If I want to send this customer payload to the browser directly, I can call this variable. Okay, directly I cannot call this payload, but I can call this variable, right? So variable you can call anywhere. It will carry forward in your entire flow. So that's why I will call vars dot. Here you can see two variable it is suggesting, employee variable and customer variable. So if I want to return customer data, I need to choose the customer variable. Okay. So here you need to understand only one thing is like payloads will be override, but variables never override. Why? Because every variable has their unique name, right? So that's why it will never override. If you create same variable names, obviously it will also override. Okay, that is also you have to remember. All these points you have to remember very carefully. Okay. If you create customer variable here, again here if you create customer variable, then obviously it will also override. But here we are creating a unique variables, right? That's why we can create a unique variables, but we cannot create a unique payloads. Why? Because payload syntax always will be same. Okay, I'm saving Control S, so then it will redeploy. Now my application is ready. If I trigger this application, which payload you will get now? Can anyone tell me?
Both.
Payload.
Yeah, some people are saying both, and some people are saying which payload, customer payload or employee payload.
Customer payload will come.
Yeah, let's see will it come or not. Okay, you can see this is the customer payload. Nothing but this payload you are getting to the browser. But I don't want this payload. I want to send employee payload to the browser. How can I send? Can anyone tell me?
You can give like end of the payload vars dot employee.
Okay, I can give end of the payload vars.employee. So this is the one way, and one more way also there. What is that? Simply you can remove the set payload. Automatically whatever you have latest payload, that payload it will return to the browser, right? So in that way also you can do. I'm sending. Now you can see this is the employee payload. Now you understand, right? If we have multiple payloads in your flow, how you can play with that payloads. You can understand right now. So in this way, you can use this set payload and set variable to set your data. Okay. So yeah, I want to send two payloads back to the browser. How it is possible actually? I want to send two payloads to the browser as a single payload. As a single payload, I want to send these two payloads. How it is possible?
We have to select both in the value.
Yeah, both variables in last
Right.
set. Is it possible or not? We'll see. Okay. So let's try plus plus. Okay. Where start. So plus plus symbol you can use to like concat both the variables. Okay. Both are strings, right? So that's why I'm using plus plus. If you dot here, it is asking for customer. Let's see, will it possible or not? I'm sending the request. Now you can see this is the employee payload, this is the customer payload, right? In this way, even you can merge two payloads in a single payload also. But if you want to design a proper way, so this set payload means always it will set the content, right? So here you have to create a multiple variables and you have to set this in a last payload, right? So there is a one more component is called like transform message. It is very useful component. Okay, it is very useful component. So even you can set your payload in the transform message, even you can set your variables in the transform message. It is very useful component. Okay, I'll show you how you can utilize. Okay, now you understand, right? So this everything you understand, right? So then yeah, this is enough actually to manipulate with the set payloads and everything. But here like I'll create a one more application. So I want to tell you like how you can utilize this transform message instead of this set payload and variables. Okay, I'll show you. So there's here I'll create a one more application like transform message. Okay, here again I want to start my flow by using HTTP listener. Again I need to do the configuration, you know very well, right? So simply I'll click on this configuration, I'll click on OK button. So here I'm using some kind of a test flow. Okay. So here,
Niranjan,
yeah, tell
I
me.
have one doubt. When we are going to drop down the listener,
Yeah,
at the time the pop-up will come that port is 8081, right? What is
yes,
the main purpose of port?
yeah. So
Why we
this
have to take 8081 8088, not for one digit? Why we have to take four digits?
it's a standard actually. It's okay, it's a protocol standard. So some internet standards are there, right? So I think we can go with that particular standards. So I think you can try another things also. Like for example, yeah, I'll try with the 8, right? You're asking 8.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's see. Yes, 8 will work or not, we'll see.
And what's the meaning of exactly why we have using that port?
Yeah, like for example, if you are using different kind of applications, okay, so multiple applications are available. So if you want to run multiple application in the same server, every application has their unique ID, right? So you can consider this port number as a unique ID. So for example, if you are running two applications with the same port, so it is not possible actually. So even your application will not deploy also. Why?
Oh,
Because every application has their unique identity by using this port only. Okay,
yeah, okay.
that's why. So for example, I'll try. I never try this like with the single digit port. I want to try. whether it is working or not. Okay. So I'm deploying this application. So first of all, it needs to deploy. If it is deployed, if it is deployed successfully means it is a standards. Nothing but we can understand like even we can use the single digit port also, but I'm not sure. Let's see. So I'm removing all these things. 8 only. Test I will use. It is deployed successfully. I'm sending this request. Yeah, now it is working fine. Even you can see the logger is printed, right? Hi. Yeah, you can use any number of ports, but usually this is the standards. Okay, so that's why we are using 4 digits. Even you can use the 1 digit also. So everyone will start from the 8081 onwards only. 8081, 8082, 8083, 8091. We have some kind of a private port. We can consider as a private port is like 8091. Some different port 8082 we have. Whenever you enable this HTTPS protocol, you have to select the 8082. Okay, in that way we have some different structure is there. Okay, you need to follow that. 8081 I will follow. Even 8 is allowed also. I'm following the 8081. So why? Because that is the standards you need to learn. Why? Because so like going forward you need to deploy this application in the cloud always will support 8081 port only. If you deploy it with any other port, even it will reject your application also. Some kind of bad gateway it will give error. Okay, so that's why definitely you should use 8081 as a default port. Why? Because it is not our local purpose you can hit with any port, but whenever you deploy your application in the cloud, it will not allow any other ports. Okay, it will allow only 8081 port. Just remember this. On the time we'll discuss, no problem. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And here just I want to show you one more component is called like transform message, right? So before that I want to show you one thing, so then you can understand what is the purpose of transform message and what is the usage of transform message. Okay, for example, I want to set variable. I'll drag set variable. Okay, and set variable and set variable. Why I'm dragging this set variables? First in the first set variable, I'm setting some content. Okay, ID. So I'm setting some content ID 123, and in the second variable I want to set name. Okay, so name, right? So name means here you can see Niranjan is my name, and also here I'm setting address. Address is like HYD. So in this way, if I want to set 20 values, I need to create the 20 variables. Now your flow look like very long, right? So instead of this, you can create a multiple variables in a single component, that is called like transform message. Okay, here you can see transform message you can drag. So you can create all these 3 variables in a single transform message. How it is possible? So here you can see one target variable, add new target variable option is there, right? So by using this option, you can create a one target variables. Okay, so you can create a multiple target variables inside a single transform message. So for example, you want to create this variable ID variable inside transform message. How you can create? So you can create simply click on add button and click here. You need to select variable. Here you can give the variable name ID. I'll give and click on OK. So here you got some variable, right? So you can remove this entire thing, and here in the single quotes you can set your data. Okay, so if it is integer, you no need to give single quotes. If it is string, definitely you need to give the single quotes. Okay, 1 2 3, and here you can see now one variable is created. If I want to create one more variable, just click on this add new target and select the variable. Here you can give the variable name is my variable name. Click on OK. So then it will create a new variable. Remove everything, single quotes. Okay, write the syntax like Niranjan, and again I want to create a last variable also. Okay, address. Just click on OK, and here you can remove this address also, HYD. sorry, should not give in this way. Single quotes only you have to give. Okay, HYD. Now where is my remaining variables? Actually, if you click on this drop down, you can see all your variables: variable ID, variable name, variable address. In this way you can see all your variables. If you want to see name variable, you have to click that variable. If you want to see other variable, you can click on other variables. Now you have to understand, you can set multiple variables in the transform message, but again you can set only one payload. Okay, one payload and multiple variables you can set in the transform message. So what is this payload? So you can use this area as a set payload. Remaining all areas you can use as a set variable. Okay, so nothing but by using transform message, you can set one payload and multiple variables you can set. Okay, so payload means usually you know, right? So previously you have set some data. What is the data? In single quotes you can write, this is customer payload. This kind of message you can set. Okay, here you can keep some kind of a JSON format also. Okay, in this way you can do that. Here you can set multiple variables by using only one payload. But here this payload will not save into any of the variable. Why? Because this payload and variable we are creating parallelly. Okay, that's why we cannot load all this payload into this remaining variables. Okay, this payload and variables will create parallelly. But you can utilize after this transform message, you can utilize this payload, even you can utilize this variables also. For example, again I'm using one more transform message. Okay, one more transform message I'm using. In this transform message, I can call this payload. I can call this all these variables. Okay, in this transform message. So I want to play with all these things. Okay, so how can I play with all these things? So here in a JSON format, this is also payload. Okay, here I'm not creating any variable. This is also payload. You can utilize this transform message as a set payload. You can utilize this transform message as a set variable also. If you want to utilize this as a set variable, you have to create a variable. So otherwise you can keep it as it is. So then you can utilize as a payload also. Okay, so I want to call all these values in a this transform message. How can I call this? I'll show you. JSON. I'm taking the format as a JSON. Inside curly braces, I want to write as a key value pairs. Okay. So first I want to print the ID. How can I print the ID? Everything should be in a double quotes. Okay. Key values both should be in a double quotes. But here, even if you not giving the double quotes also, that is fine. Okay. But please remember this very carefully. Always your keys should be within double quotes only. Okay. So I want to print first ID. ID should be double quotes colon. Where is my ID is located? So where is my ID located? Just check here. So in the ID variable, my ID is there. So here I need to call the ID variable. How can I call the ID variable? Here also you have to use same syntax. Vars dot. Here it is suggesting all the three variables ID. Comma you have to give. Again you need to write one more key value pair. Key should be always in a double quotes. Name. So otherwise you can give the customer also. Customer ID and customer name. What is my customer name? Here I can print vars dot name comma double quotes customer address colon vars dot address. In this way I can print all the details. Even I want to print the payload also. This is my payload, right? So this is customer details, customer message. Okay. So I want to print that payload also. How can I print that payload? Here I want to print the customer message. Otherwise simply message I will give. Message I want to print. I want to take this message from the payload. How can I take the message from the payload? Directly you can write the payload. So this payload means it will take from this payload from input. Okay, so here you have payload and you have multiple variables, but you can set only one payload for the one transfer message, but you can create a multiple variables. Even if you open this transfer message, it will pull all the information from this previous transfer message. How it will pull? Here you can see, left side you can see we have three variables: address, name, id. Automatically it is created here, and payload also available. Okay, remaining values also available, but these values attributes are not required for us. Only it is taking three values. So payload it is taking, and here you can see the lines also. It is taking all the information from the previous. Okay, so that's why this transform message is a very powerful component in our entire MuleSoft. I can say strongly. Okay, everything you can do by using this transform message. Even you no need this kind of set variables. You no need this kind of a set payload also. Everything you can do by using the transform message also. Even sometimes this set payload will not convert your data properly. Okay, even it will print in a some kind of a like a unreadable format, it will send or it will print. In that scenario also, if you take this transform message, it will transform your data very effectively. Okay, without any problems, without giving any problems, directly it will transform your data in a proper format. If you give here JSON, it will transform into a JSON. If you give here XML, it will transform into a XML. Okay, I'll show you how it will convert and everything. Okay, so now everything you have converted into a payload. Again you are converting all this data into a payload, right? So finally this payload will give to the browser. Let's see this application. So it is redeploying. So what is my path? Test is my path. What is my port? 8081 is my port. Okay, so my application got redeployed. I'm going to the Postman. So here I'm using 8081. I'm sending the request. Now you can see all the details will print here. Customer ID 123, customer name Niranjan, customer address HOID. Message is like this is the customer message. From here you are getting all these values. These three values you are getting from the variables. These value I'm getting from the payload. Okay, so these keys are I have inserted manually. These keys. Okay, you no need to worry about these keys. Whatever you have written in the transfer message, that keys will return directly, but these values it will take from previous variables and payload dynamically. Okay, these values and these variables and payload it is taking dynamically. Only keys it is taking statically, nothing but manually. Okay, so now I want to show you one more thing, right? So what is that? Yeah, in this way you can return your payload to the browser. Okay, yeah, now I want to show you in a different format, XML format I want to return. So simply you can return here XML, and XML format always it will expect some kind of a root tag. Okay, you have to give the root tag. My root tag is like customer. Okay, customer is my root tag. Just give the colon. Now let's see what will happen. This entire data will convert into XML. Okay, it is not possible with the set payload that much easy. Okay, it is very difficult actually to convert all these formats. So that's why in real time also most of the time instead of the set payload and set variable, they will use transfer message only. Now let's see. So this is the JSON content. Here you can see 200. Okay, JSON format. Here you can see this is the JSON format. JSON format means JSON formats always it will start with and end with the curly braces. Inside curly braces you have to write everything key value pairs. This is the key and this is the values. This is the key and this is the values. All these key value pairs will separated by the colon only. Okay, this is you have to remember. Colon you should not forget. And each and every key value pair will separate by the comma. Okay, this key value pair and this key value pair will separate by the comma. Okay, everywhere you should keep comma. For the last key value pair you no need to give the comma. Okay, these are the like thumb rules of the writing a JSON. And now we will see how same thing will convert into a XML format. I'm sending the request. Now you can see it will convert into a XML format 200. Okay, Here you can see customer is the root tag. Inside customer you can see the values. Okay, so this is the key. Okay, this is the key, this is the key, all the key values it will give here. Values means it will give in between the key. Okay, key will start tag and end tag. Okay, key have start tag, end tag. In between that you can, it will print the values. Okay, you can write the values in between the keys. Okay, for the keys you need to create a one starting tag and ending tag, same key. Okay, only the difference is like starting tag, ending tag is like slash. This is the forward slash you need to give. Okay, customer ID, and this is the starting tag. Customer ID, same customer ID I'm writing, this is the ending tag. By using slash you can give the ending tag, and here in between this you have to give the data. This is the starting tag, customer name, this is the ending tag. In between that it will print the value. Values will print within the keys. Okay, all values. So even if you want this format, I will paste into the group chat. Even you can practice this kind of things also. It is very important. You should know like so this is the kind of a headers. So you don't need to worry about this encoding. Okay, XML encoding. So this is the XML format. If you want to get the JSON format also, simply you can remove the, yeah, same thing I will convert into a JSON. So you no need to remove this root tag. Let's see how it will print in a JSON. Okay, so then you can understand better. Now you can see this is the JSON tag. Try to understand these two formats, guys. It is very important. Okay, this is the JSON data and this is the XML data. Okay, try to understand these two formats, how you can write, what is the difference between this and this. Okay, try to understand. So it is very useful for your future sessions. Okay, so in this way you can manipulate all your set variables, all your variables, all your set payloads. Here you can write, actually if you want to write multiple payloads, if you want to play with the multiple payloads, simply you can take the one transfer message. Here you can call all these variables. Okay, for example here like employee colon var start employee. So nothing but employee data, it will come here. Okay, JSON format I can take, and comma, here even I want to take double quotes also, employee data, double quotes, comma, double quotes, customer data. Okay, colon, how can I call the customer data? Var start customer, and in this way you can call. Okay, so in this way you can call multiple variables. Even you can create a multiple variables also here. Okay, that's you have to understand very carefully. That's it, guys. That's it for today. Okay, so I'll remove these things. I'll print this one also if you want. Okay, so anyway, you know, right? So how it will print also, you know. So if you want, I can show you this thing also. I'll stop this application. I'll start this application. Okay, previous application I'll run. Every time you can run only one application. Even you can run multiple applications also at a time. I'll show you that later. Okay, in the later sessions, that is also required. You need to run two applications at a time. Okay, I'll show you how you can run the two applications at a time. So this is the last test we are going to see. So here you can see 8 sample is my path. Okay, sample is my path. I think 8088 is my port, I guess. Previously we have used, right, for the previous application. Let's see what will happen. So this application got deployed. I'm sending the request. Now you can see the response. Employee data, this is the employee payload. Customer data, this is the customer payload. Okay, in this way you can merge multiple payloads in a single transfer message and you can utilize. Okay, here you can see only two variables are it is showing, one payload. Okay, so in this way you can play with all your set payload and set variables. Okay, that's it, guys. Thank you so much.